On this episode of MythBusters, it's enough to drive you round the bend.
One toilet's probably as good as the other.
Our new host gets a hazing, then a blazing, as we turn up the heat on the exploding toilet myth.
He's still holding the cigarette.
The clothing gets kinky in the quest to answer an age-old weather mystery. And staring down the barrel, Adam and Jamie take aim at the myth of the magic bullet. Who are the MythBusters?
Am I missing an eyebrow?
Adam Savage.
I always enjoyed seeing Adam in pain.
Oh! And Jamie Heineman.
Jamie wants a big boom.
Between them, more than 30 years special effects experience.
Feel kind of sexy.
They don't just tell the myths,
Farewell, cruel world.
they put them to the test.
Now, apparently somebody dumped some combustibles down a toilet. You know, bug spray, gasoline. There's a number of different variations on this myth.
At which point, her husband comes into the bathroom, sits down, has a cigarette, puts the cigarette out between his legs into the toilet, and it explodes, burning his sensitive parts.
Good, that sounds like a perfect job for the blast chamber.
It should be easy for the MythBusters to get this one in the can. All they have to do is buy a toilet, dump a range of combustible materials into it, drop in a lit cigarette, and watch the fireworks.
With your years of experience of exploding toilets and combustible gases, what do you think the hard part of this experiment's going to be?
I'm trying to think of various ways that we can actually make that toilet blow up. And, you know, maybe the gasoline or maybe the bug spray will do it. But if not, you know, there are other things that we can put in there.
Like a grand finale?
Yeah, one way or another, we're going to blow up that damn toilet.
Okay, good.
First step, down to the local junkyard on the lookout for a toilet. Now, you'd imagine that most toilets are pretty much the same, but Jamie's being fussy.
Well, there's less water in the closet.
This one's too shallow.
The explosive we're going to put in here is heavier than air, so it's going to rest in the bowl. The deeper the bowl, the more explosive force we get, the better the result.
I don't think it really matters. You know, one toilet's probably as good as the other.
This one doesn't have a top.
40 bucks later, Adam and Jamie have their toilet. Folklorist Heather Joseph Witham has seen enough exploding toilet stories to fill a small outhouse.
This narrative has been around at least since the 1930s, at which point it appeared in news clippings in newspapers. The early form of the story was probably some sort of rural gag. You have the wife of the house going and cleaning out the outhouse with some kind of kerosene or oil or other kind of volatile fluid, at which point the grandpa goes out and sits down and lights his pipe, and he gets blown right off the outhouse seat. And as he's lying there amidst the rubble, he says, "Must have been something I ate."
The bottom line is, Jamie plans to be sitting on the toilet when it goes up, so he'll need more than his trusty beret. He's measuring himself for a purpose-built protective suit made from football equipment and impact-resistant foam padding.
Ow.
If that toilet's supposed to launch me across the room, then, you know, it'd be kind of nice to have this. I'll integrate into the suit as much as I can.
Yeah.
But, you know, this, yeah.
Then it'll be like this. Go ahead, shoot me.
It's not long, though, before Jamie changes his mind about taking one for the team.
After all this armor and your big costume, you don't want to sit on the toilet anymore. Why not?
Well, that foam, you know, that impact foam burned kind of like napalm. And after a lot of thought about it, I'm more concerned about getting torched than I am about getting blown across the room.
I had a suspicion you might wuss out on this armor thing, so I've actually been making some calls, and I might have a very, very acceptable plan B. Ding, we got it. Ah, what a touch. In this box right here is the new star of MythBusters. Oh, look at that.
That's all I need is another dummy around this place.
Weighing in at 180 pounds, this Series 2 crash test dummy retired in 1998 after making quite an impact in his chosen profession.
Oh, this is pretty cool.
What part of the body is
that
this?
That would be the, goes into the torso.
Oh, that's the stomach, okay. Wow. Oh, that's beautiful.
This is like a giant-sized G.I. Joe.
But if it's the quiet life he's after, he's a bigger dummy than he looks.
He's not gonna upstage us. We just kick him back into submission.
All he needs now is a name.
I think we should call him Buster.
Buster sounds pretty good to me. It's kind of manly, a little, pretty descriptive.
He doesn't have any ears.
The next step, Jamie has to build a remote-controlled hand to drop the cigarette.
That's probably the best thing.
Okay.
Adam and Jamie have also had to build their very own blast chamber. It's made from a bulletproof material called Lexan, the same substance used in aircraft windows. Hopefully, it will survive its maiden voyage. On its first outing, the blast chamber is doubling as the world's most public bathroom.
Like an hourglass, the sands of time. Moving inexorably towards toilet explosion.
Inside, a high-speed camera has its beady eye trained on the bowl. It's running at 1,000 frames per second, 40 times faster than the average camcorder. The more frames exposed, the slower the picture. Normal camera, high-speed camera.
Perfectly. That ought to work. That ought to work.
The temperature inside the chamber is already climbing. The hotter it is, the easier it should be to ignite the fuel. While the chamber should easily contain any explosion, the MythBusters have called for backup, just in case.
Have you never heard this myth before?
No, actually I haven't heard this one. Found a few people on the toilet, but never because of a toilet explosion.
Falling off the toilet, a lot of
Something like
bathroom
that, yeah.
problems.
Falling
but
off the toilet?
Never actually exploding.
The local fire marshal's on hand to oversee proceedings.
So we've designed this with, it's covered with polycarbonate that won't shatter or go anywhere. It's securely bolted, as well as it's made in 2 separate halves so that if there is any kind of general explosion in there, it'll just open like a flower.
So there's nothing holding it together, in other words?
No.
The first product you're going to test?
We've got.
If we have an order.
You start with your cleanest.
Yeah.
You'll have your best progression.
Is there that much of a difference between, like a coal or an ember dropping into a propellant and an actual lit flame?
It depends on how much surface area you have on that coal.
So a coal can light like a cigarette
Absolutely,
butt?
yeah,
can
smoldering, yes.
Combustible number 1.
MythBusters hairspray. It's what I use to keep my dew in line.
How much of this stuff am I supposed to put in there?
The myth said that the can of propellant got stuck open. So not knowing what to do with it, she emptied it out in the toilet. So I'd put a whole bunch in there.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, when you start to get dizzy, it's probably time to leave.
Okay.
A sensor measures the level of flammable vapor inside the chamber.
Would seem we have some combustible gases in here. We're loaded and ready for ignition. Come on, say something cool.
Release mechanism dropping by.
That's it.
Okay, 3, 2, 1, go. Nothing.
Not exactly hair-raising stuff. Well, time to move on to the next test. Bug spray.
All right.
All right. Well.
Aw.
This is powerful porcelain. It seems the smoldering tip of the cigarette is not producing enough heat to reach the flash point of the hydrocarbons.
I mean, we're totally duplicating the circumstances of the myth. lit cigarette, bug spray. It's not like anyone tried to reach an ideal air-fuel mixture.
Bug spray and hairspray aren't the most flammable things in the world. And also, you know, it's a cigarette with a coal on it. It'd be better to have a nice open flame to it.
It's time to move outside the confines of the myth and see if a naked flame can spark some life.
More bug spray. If it doesn't do it on this one, I don't think it's happening.
We still got a few more things to try, though, so be patient.
All right.
All right.
This time, Jamie's giving it both barrels, the sensors squealing.
Okay, here goes. There, go.
Did it go in the toilet?
It did, and there was actually a little poof in the toilet.
Well, hardly 4th of July.
Poof!
We have poop. Testing, 1, 2, 3.
Time for butane to step up to the plate.
Did it go in?
It went right in, nothing happened. All right, match. Lighting. Go. There's a poof. Finally.
That is not enough to blast somebody off the seat.
You don't think so?
No.
I don't think so either.
The MythBusters are struggling to make the exploding toilet myth anything more than a flash in the pan. But this isn't the first time someone has put this story to the test. Dr. Robert Slay first heard about the exploding toilet myth in the mid-70s. Intrigued, he conducted his own myth-busting experiment.
I myself in Texas in investigating this with a large watermelon, and a full can of spray was only able to singe the bottom of the watermelon, not to have it leave the toilet.
Dr. Slay says these stories are invaluable in a field where every day is a matter of life and death.
I think they're therapeutic in the sense that it relieves stress. We know that humor used appropriately, particularly in tense work situations, tends to make people perform better. As you may well know, there are studies that show that people are more creative. They think of better solutions when they're working in what they call a fun environment or a place where there can be humor.
Undeterred, Adam and Jamie head back to detonate this toilet.
The myth is looking kind of unlikely at the moment, although, you know, gasoline is the big one. What do you think? Does that work?
Oh, that's beautiful.
Surely, dropping a cigarette into a pool of gasoline will produce some type of reaction.
Let's get a wet towel ready in case the extinguisher fails.
Silly housewife, pouring gasoline down the toilet. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Lighting cigarette.
Okay, I'm gonna drop it.
3, 2, 1, go. Nada.
But the pool of liquid simply put the cigarette out. Try again, this time using the naked flame of the match.
Lit, go.
Okay, so you'd get a shock and a blackened backside, but it's still not the explosive force mentioned in the myth.
So do you think that was enough to blow you off the toilet?
No way. No way.
It wasn't really like a concussive blast. I mean, it didn't, you know, I didn't see the chamber move very much at all.
Finally, the moment the MythBusters have been sweating on. It's time for Solution X, gunpowder.
We have this black powder that, like, there's actually almost a full can of this. You think you could let us put it in the toilet and set it off?
Sure, go ahead. Try a capful in a metal container and see what we get out of it.
Okay.
Now this looks more like it.
The turkey basters.
Oh, that's beautiful.
So that made a nice woof, actually.
Yeah, it did make a very nice woof. I saw a movie like this once.
Getting him, Lynn.
Time for our new host to make his MythBusters debut. The fire marshal seems to be getting a little nervous.
How much? I put it all in there.
That's too much.
Half of it?
That's a hell of a lot. Should give you one hell of an effect.
Okay, lighting the match.
It left, didn't it?
Uh-oh.
I thought it went out.
No, it didn't.
Well, there is no match on the tinfoil.
Strangely, exactly what was explained as a possibility has occurred.
Well, what do we think? Time 5 minutes or something and then go in?
Reasonable?
6:09.
Sit tight, Buster. Your moment of glory has been slightly delayed.
Chamber is sealed. Are we good to go?
Yep.
Ready. Go.
Well, I tell you what, you know, that
That was great.
It didn't even move him.
No, he didn't even move.
It did blow his pants up, though.
He's still holding the cigarette.
That was fun.
Congratulations.
Not even half a tin of gunpowder could unseat our new star. If anything, it just enhanced his smoldering good looks.
There you go. Yeah, I've had days just like this too.
Another myth busted. Jamie and Adam are flush with success.
This is perfect amount of carnage. I'd say this, you know, there's no way that you can put any combustible into a toilet that would move you.
And what about their new co-star?
I think you work fantastically. In fact, we were able to set fire to his clothes, and he doesn't seem any the worse for wear. I mean, he smells a little bit, but I think he did fantastically.
What's this? Adam and Jamie browsing in a sex shop?
Your arms are totally inside of it.
What sort of depraved myth-busting challenge could possibly call for such kinky clothing? The myth that you stay drier if you run in the rain.
Basically, it's a bit of practical advice. Run if it's raining, and you won't get as wet than if you're walking. Seems to make sense to me.
Common sense? Since when have the MythBusters let that get in the way of a challenge?
The idea is someone walking through the rain will stay in the rain longer, but the rain's only falling on their head and shoulders. Whereas someone running through the rain is actually picking up rain on their entire front.
So what? We just wait for the next rainy day and go for a stroll? No siree. The MythBusters will need controlled conditions.
We're going to have to be really careful about this. It seems like a simple thing.
It seems pretty straightforward.
Yeah, but there are actually a lot of factors to consider. You've got, you know, the velocity of the rain. You've got the speed that you're running. You've got all these different things to factor in there.
The setup, an indoor course 100 feet long, which Adam and Jamie will walk, then run through in a downpour of homemade rain. They'll wear identical cotton coveralls, which will be weighed after each test to see how much rain they've soaked up. Now, all that means they'll have to manufacture some very precise precipitation.
I think the hardest part's going to be getting really reliable, consistent rain, something that's realistic. So, you know, it's got to be the right velocity, the right drop size, nice even spread over a big distance like this for us to get a good, consistent run.
At this early stage, what do Adam and Jamie think will happen?
If you walk, you spend more time in the rain.
That's your idea?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to disagree with you just for the hell of it, and I'm going to say the person who runs through the rain gets wetter.
When it comes time to run the test, Adam and Jamie will have to make sure their perspiration doesn't mix with the rain. So they'll have to wear something underneath their coveralls, something snug and form-fitting. Ah, so that explains the visit to the land of latex.
Have you ever worn latex before?
I've never worn latex before.
Okay.
I've heard it takes a lot of powder.
This one, you get in through the neck. This one, you open up the
Your
shoulders.
whole body fits to the neck.
This is called, a neck entry, and all you do is stretch. It doesn't tear. I mean, it's built very strong, and you just step inside of it. This is kind of a cool feeling because it completely closes up around you.
Do you want to try them on right now?
I'm not attached to trying them on right now. It seems like a lot of work. But apparently, we're going to try it on right now. That's enough of that. How do you feel?
Feel kind of sexy.
It's funny because you bend your legs, you can feel them spring back again. You can? It's like, boink, boink.
Though a little unsure at first, Jamie seems quite taken. The next step, buy some piping for their homemade downpour.
Are these things sealed just by screwing them in tight?
Teflon tape. You'd have to Teflon tape.
I'd
each
rather
thread.
use the goop. You know, it goes
all right.
together quick.
Okay, I was trying to accommodate you. You were like, we're gonna have to glue all these together earlier.
And when you've done special effects for as many sci-fi movies as Adam, you see irrigation equipment in a completely different light.
Ah, yeah, here you go. This I've seen in more than one movie as the business end of some kind of big gun. So we need like 40 feet of half-inch pipe and 150 feet of the 2-inch pipe. Right here.
We need to have at least about 60 feet of height for of the sprinklers, so that the raindrops can achieve terminal velocity.
After falling 60 feet, a drop of water is traveling at maximum speed, around 22 feet per second. After that, it cannot go any faster, no matter how far it plummets.
We just go up there with a hose, you know, and squirt it down. It's not really going to be like real rain. It might be going faster or slower, we don't know.
Over the years, several studies have sought to answer the question of whether you should amble or gallop through the rain. Meteorologists Tom Peterson and Trevor Wallace conducted their own experiment at the National Climatic Data Center in North Carolina.
That's perfect.
They simply waited for a downpour and stepped outside.
We measured out an approximate course to try to get 100 meters, but we didn't feel like it was crucial to have exactly 100 meters because we weren't trying to see how much rain we absorbed in 100 meters, but the relative difference between running and walking.
Tom walked, Trevor ran. Then their clothing was weighed. We won't reveal their results just yet. Let's wait and see how Adam and Jamie get on. Ironically, the heavens have opened, just as Adam and Jamie find the perfect place to whip up a storm.
So here we are, Jamie.
An Alameda Naval Base.
Yeah, across the bay from San Francisco. You know, they used to paint C-130 planes in this room.
It's a big hangar.
Yeah.
Time to see whether or not Adam's rain delivery system is just a pipe dream. "150 feet of pipe with sprinkler heads every 6 feet.
I'm actually really pleased with the way things are going. We've got half up already. I'm going to do the other half right now. And I got plenty of tie points. It looks really stable. And as long as Jamie holds up on his end, we shouldn't be here too long.
Jamie's working on getting water for the challenge. Not as easy as you might think on a rainy day.
It's legal to tie into these fire hydrants, but you have to go through the fire department and you buy or rent a meter that allows you to tie into it and keep track of your water usage.
Accessing water's one thing. Getting it to travel 60 feet straight up in the air is another.
There you go.
Jamie's calculated that the water will have to be pumped at 15 pounds per square inch. No problem for this pump. It can move H2O at a rate of 200 gallons per minute at 50 pounds per square inch. While they're setting up, let's see how Adam's getting on.
That might be enough, but you know what? I don't think so.
Guess that means he's finished the rain rig. With the pipes in place and the water pumping, the MythBusters are keen to give the rain a dry run.
Come on, keep coming down. No, it's okay, not too much. Okay, so what's next?
Well, we have to mark out a course, and it's 100 feet long, so we're going to mark it out with tape.
We need to get another roll and attach it to this so we can make it to the other piece of tape. Is that 100 feet? Are we too long?
Just a hair.
On some of the tests, they plan to add wind as a variable.
You know, I'm not getting this at all. It's like, you don't want one starting at the end line, or at the start line?
No. No, here, come over here. I'll draw it out for you, what I'm thinking. Probably here, blowing like this, or going like
Looks
this.
like they can't agree on a fan
We
plan.
want to get the fans as close to the course as we can anyway.
Not necessarily. Consistency is more important than the highest wind speed. Let's set it up my way first.
Okay.
Of course I want to set it up my way first. Do you want to set it up your way first?
I don't care,
Yes.
actually, Adam.
For this experiment, they're looking to duplicate average rainfall, between 2 and 3 inches per hour. Digital gauges are set out along the course.
Oh, these are fabulous. It's almost like whoever invented these didn't want to get wet when they were measuring the rain. We're going to run it for 5 minutes. I can't tell how big the drops are. So currently we're getting just about 1 3/4 inches per hour. We want to goose up the throttle just a little bit, and we should have the perfect amount of rain. I'm ready to dress up. You ready?
Ready as I'm gonna be.
I must admit, I feel a little funky.
Step 1, make the rain more visible.
Bubble, bubble, toil and trouble, fire burn and cauldron bubble.
Step 2, put on the coveralls. Each pair weighs 757 grams. Step 3, it's time to walk the line and find an answer to this age-old mystery.
Walking.
Our high-speed camera, running at 1,000 frames per second, captures every single droplet. Adam and Jamie will walk the course twice, once with wind, once without.
And stop.
Each take is timed. Then the coveralls are straight off and onto the scales.
785 grams. What was the original weight?
757.
757.
Cool.
So 18 grams of water.
And the results faithfully recorded. Now, Jamie's turn to be under the weather. Both walks clock in at around 18 seconds, and the coveralls have soaked up almost the same amount of water. But what happens when Adam and Jamie up the pace? That can't be right.
798, significantly more.
Adam's coveralls are 14 grams heavier after the run. Time to find out what our meteorologists gauged from their rain experiment.
It's much better to run than walk, according to our model and the experiment. The runner was 40% less wet than the walker.
On Jamie's run, the difference isn't as great.
793.
But the raw data is still pointing to an answer that flies in the face of science.
The results aren't what I expected at all, actually. The numbers are really close. We're only talking about a matter of a dozen grams here and there. So when we average it all out, I think it's going to show that running, actually, you get wetter, strangely.
The difference is minute. Wind-blown rain makes the coveralls only a few grams heavier. The overall result, however, remains the same. At the end of the day, 8 pink-tinged coveralls tell the story.
After the running, the rubber suits, the getting wet, crunching the numbers, what's the final result? What's the verdict?
Better to walk than run.
Really?
Yeah, it was very clear. Over a 100-foot course with 2 to 3 inches per hour rain delivery. We got more than twice the rain per foot running than we did with walking.
Is this one busted?
This one's busted. Fact is that it's better to walk than to run in the rain.
The MythBusters are aiming high. Adam and Jamie are unraveling the myth of the magic bullet. The bullet that delivers a deadly payload, then disappears. It's even been implicated in the death of a president. In the early days of the Cold War, movies and novels hit on the idea of a magic bullet, a bullet that dissolves, leaving no ballistics evidence.
Here's your ammo. This is ballistic H2O. It's an ice projectile, velocity of 3,000 feet per second, and an accuracy of up to 500 yards. No exit wound, the bullet's gonna melt inside the target.
In the action thriller movie Most Wanted, a bullet made of ice gives the First Lady the cold shoulder. That seems a good place to start. Adam and Jamie will try and make an ice bullet.
One of the problems that it seems might occur with an ice bullet is that whereas lead conforms to the tapering shape of a barrel, ice might not, and thus block the barrel, and the gases might explode the barrel itself.
Now, it's not going to be easy. The guys will have to make a bullet mold, fill it with water, freeze it, then fire the ice projectile from a high-powered rifle. Step 1. Adam fires off a letter to the CIA requesting details on the existence of magic bullets. Then it's off to the local gun store. The guys want to fire the ice bullet from a Mannlicher Carcano, the same rifle the FBI alleges Lee Harvey Oswald used.
We called earlier about a rifle that looks kind of similar to the Mannlicher Carcano.
It's not exactly the same, but it's close enough.
Have you ever heard of anyone trying to fire a bullet made of ice out of one of these?
No, I haven't. I know it's a myth.
You know it's a, you've
I know
heard
it's
the
a
myth.
myth, but I've never actually heard of anybody trying it. I don't think it's feasible.
So why don't you think it's feasible?
Because ice melts.
When buying a weapon in California, there's a 10-day waiting period, so it's back to base.
So we did pretty good there. We got most of what we need, I think, to get rolling.
We got our loader, we got our manual, we got funnels for putting powder back in if we spill some, we got our bullets, we got our impact bullet.
The trip to the gun store has brought it home to the guys just how dangerous this project will be.
We're working with high explosives, we're working on objects and with machines specifically designed to kill people. That safety's got to be paramount through every step of this.
Anytime we modify a gun, even the slightest variation in loading the bullet into the cartridge can cause the thing to explode in the gun. It could be very dangerous.
A big X factor is gunpowder.
You know, what they told us was if you got the gunpowder 22 degrees below zero or less, that it wouldn't even fire, it wouldn't even ignite. What Jamie's looking at doing is casting it in such a way as to isolate the tip of the bullet from the rest of the bullet.
While Jamie starts making a bullet mold, Adam's hard at work on their intended victim.
This is actually a model of my face that Jamie and I did probably about 10 years ago. I was bald and clean shaven, and I figured, you know, it's a perfect time to cast her head.
The dummy will be made from ballistics gel, a substance used by the FBI. Made from animal products, the gel mimics human flesh. Time to get sculpting. The dummy will have to be chilled for 48 hours. Where are they going to find a big enough freezer?
Wow, that's made of Jell-O?
That's made of Jell-O, 200 pounds of Jell-O.
Ooh, it feels good. Right over there.
It's over to the cool room at the local deli.
Thank you very much, Suhail.
Sure, no problem. You guys coming for lunch? We got Jell-O on special.
How's the bullet mold coming along?
I'm trying to find a drill that will replicate the size of the bullet itself so that I can make a mold. Rather than pouring rubber around this and replicating it that way, I'm going to just drill a hole that is shaped like this in a block of aluminum that I can separate.
A real bullet sits in a case, which is loaded with gunpowder. When the trigger is pulled, a primer ignites the gunpowder, and the explosion drives the bullet out of the case and down the barrel. Jamie will have to load his ice bullet into a cartridge for firing. That means getting the real bullet out.
I barely see anything down there.
That's a rim fire.
Now, you're only supposed to use this tool on certain types of ammunition. But Adam never reads instructions.
You know, I could have read the directions and it wouldn't have made any sense to me because I don't know what a rimfire bullet is. I would have been blissfully proceeding without thinking I was in danger.
Well, I was raised up on a farm. Them's varmint bullets.
Hey, be careful, you got stuff in there.
The ice bullet mold is ready to go. The two aluminum blocks screw together, forming a perfect bullet shape. Jamie pours water into the mold and dunks it in liquid nitrogen.
Looks good. Looks like a bullet to me.
But getting the bullet out of the mold in one piece is proving a problem.
You know, it didn't come out all in one piece. I need to put a coating on the inside of the mold so that the ice comes out easily because it's very brittle. We don't want to break it before we get it in the gun.
The alarm bells are ringing already. If an ice bullet is too brittle to survive the mold intact, how could it be fired from the barrel of a rifle? A bullet does not stop accelerating once it leaves the gun. It actually gets propelled by heated gases exploding from the barrel. Is it really possible that a simple ice projectile, no matter how cold, could withstand such forces and reach its target intact? This man says no. Dr. Roger McCarthy is the chairman of Exponent, a company whose success comes from the failure of others. He spent his life investigating everything, from faulty massage chairs to major disasters. He's also studied the magic bullet theory. In particular, the idea that JFK was killed by a magic bullet, fired by a second sniper on the grassy knoll. But Dr. McCarthy's magic bullet isn't made of ice. It's metal, hollowed out, and filled with liquid.
A liquid bullet was one of the few ways to guarantee that all the energy of the bullet would be dissipated in the target and there would be no exit wound. Because a bullet exiting the target is a complete waste of energy. You never want to see that as a professional assassin.
In the wake of JFK's assassination, the magic bullet theory was dismissed for one simple reason. The sniper would have been on the right of the motorcade, but there was no exit wound on the left side of the president's head. But because it has less mass than a conventional bullet, a liquid bullet wouldn't exit the target.
I was able to show in my experimentation that the pressure wave being introduced by the bullet into the skull and then bouncing off the other side will in fact expel all the parts of the bullet out.
Ice projectiles. What do these people think of next? Fruity flavors?
No.
What's this?
But the MythBusters aren't beaten yet.
There's stuff to make a bullet out of.
Imagine you're an overworked forensics expert. Would you be looking for a slug made of meat?
What did you do today, honey?
I made a meat bullet. Is that what the kids are calling it these days? That's a hard little steak.
That's a loaded meat bullet.
The result? Well, Adam's mouth's watering.
I would bet you that this is the most successful test we have.
Jamie's on a roll. He tries again. This time, a bullet made of simple gelatin.
I've got a cold.
This is looking really promising because it's not at all brittle. Why don't you mess with that? That's sealed up.
That's pretty good stuff right there.
Yeah, it's
a little bit flexible, a little bit hard. It's a little bit country, a little bit rock and roll.
Meanwhile, some interesting mail has arrived. A reply from the CIA.
Operational files of the CIA are exempt from the publication provisions of the Freedom of Information Act. The files that would contain responsive records, if any exist, are not subject to search.
What that seems to say is there's almost definitely something like this, but because it's being used, they can't tell us about it. It's not subject to a Freedom of Information Act request.
request denied.
Jamie, let's put up a dummy.
Time to see if the MythBusters' magic bullets are at home on the range.
How you doing there, buddy? How you doing? Yeah, you're doing so good. We're gonna shoot you
To make sure everything's above board, we've had to call in one of San Francisco's finest to oversee this shoot.
I have a concern about what we do if the rifle doesn't fire, actually. If we get the round too cold and when we pull the trigger it doesn't fire, is it in danger of actually going off if it warms up?
Yes, it can. That's why just wait a few minutes before trying to take it out.
Wait a few minutes, don't approach it, just go back. Okay.
Just in case, the guys will fire the rifle using a remote rig. In this case, a piece of string tied to the trigger.
Well, that's a nice meat bullet if I ever saw one. Which I never have.
Back in the Army?
But will it make mincemeat of the dummy?
3, 2, 1.
Let's go take a look.
The beef bullet exploded. Specks of meat are embedded in the torso. Unfortunately, there's also plenty of ballistics evidence left behind.
It looks like half of the cordite didn't even explode, didn't even ignite.
Yeah, I
It
guess
was less loud than before.
Needs a certain amount of, stay in there-ness. Like needs to plug the cartridge.
Stay in there-ness?
Yeah.
Is that scientific?
Maybe a gelatin bullet will have that elusive stay in there-ness. The gel is colored with food dye, so it'll show up in the dummy.
Here we go.
Ready to fire, guys. Everybody ready?
We're all ready. Let's go.
There we go.
Good. Grab the cord.
And 3, 2, 1.
Bullseye.
That was a bigger boom.
But there's still a problem. The gel bullet struck the dummy at 3 times the speed of sound and with a force of more than 2,000 pounds per square inch. But even so,
It went in about an inch.
that's not much penetration. If you compare the gel bullet with the effects of a real Carcano or a 6.65 millimeter round fired from the same rifle, you can see that the frozen gel just won't work if firing over a distance.
Now, how do I know which one's in the chamber?
The guys have more success with a smaller firearm at close range.
Judging by this, it's the best of all of them. That it stayed intact and went all the way to the bone there.
Yeah, point blank range.
But if you have to be that close to the target, then you have to fire your magic bullet from something that doesn't look like a weapon.
So, Jamie, what are your thoughts about turning one of these into a gun?
Well, do we want to shoot it like a rifle, like that?
In 1978, an umbrella was the weapon in the sophisticated assassination of a Bulgarian defector.
Georgy Markov was the victim of the most bizarre murder of modern technology, a sophisticated metal pellet fired from an umbrella into his thigh. Analysis showed the poison to be ricin, 70 times more lethal than the cyanide on the right.
That umbrella insertion was brilliant and much more effective than an ice bullet. The ice bullet, bullets are not subtle. And the best bullet draws everybody's attention, including the victims, immediately.
In true MythBusters style, Jamie's going to build his own umbrella gun from scratch. A chamber near the handle will be charged with compressed air from a dive tank.
That's great, Jamie.
The air will drive the gel bullet from the umbrella tip at supersonic speed. It's a big call. The CIA would spend years developing such a weapon. Jamie's got 3 days.
I have no idea how fast that's going to propel something, but...
I mean, in the realm of what we've done for MythBusters, isn't this kind of one of the most dangerous things we've tried yet?
Probably. I mean, there is a lot of energy in there, and it's not to be underestimated. Like I said, it will remove flesh from your bones. We're making a super high-pressure gun here, and so I'm trying to keep it really simple and also make sure that it's safe. So I'm overbuilding it a little bit. So much stuff and it's still not enough. Just can't get there from here. Gotta make everything from scratch. Pain in the butt. I'm gonna try one more thing.
It should hold a little better than that, shouldn't it?
One would think so.
Jamie's getting frustrated. Air from the scuba tank is getting into the chamber. Unfortunately, it's getting out again almost as fast.
I'm a little pissed off. This thing's taking way too long.
What's going on with it?
One stupid little seal. I have to walk away from it.
Yeah.
I've been doing this all day, wasting way too much time on it.
And when the troublesome gunbrella is finally tested with a BB,
and
watch out, watch out.
Adam's far from impressed.
Yeah, it's only like 3/4 of an inch in there. Here, we can, okay. About like that?
Yeah. Interesting. It looks like it went in deeper.
Say 7 inches.
That's interesting.
What, did you waste your time? Did you just waste 3 days on this?
Could be.
Right off the bat, I think it's actually kind of disappointing. I mean, I spent 3 days working on this like super high-powered air reservoir to fire this thing, and this, you know, $50 BB gun outperformed it right off the bat. I could have modified this to fit in that umbrella in a couple of hours.
Adam scavenges a CO2 canister and trigger from an old air pistol.
We're loaded and ready to go. CO2 cartridge from the pistol.
Yeah.
Loaded into the barrel, which goes up the center of the umbrella's chamber and comes out the tip. And the trigger mechanism will be like a ball bearing on a leaf spring going, because that gun fires the same way the other one does, just a weight against that thing.
Okay.
That pretty cool?
Yeah.
So umbrella's at 30 paces.
Looks like we're going to be pitting your umbrella against my umbrella.
My umbrella's going to take you down.
We'll see about that.
Absolutely. You won't even know it's an umbrella. I mean, you won't even know it's not an umbrella.
In California, a weapon like this is illegal, but we have police permission and supervision.
Umbrella guns loaded, point blank, in 3, 2, 1. Wow. That was really effective. That went all the way into the sternum. I mean, that went all the way in.
The projectile is tiny, but could easily carry a lethal dose of poison. Both umbrellas worked better than the real guns.
Looking at this 22 hole, Jamie, I see burn marks around the edge, whereas our 2 umbrella guns left absolutely no evidence at all that it was even a ballistic hit. It's just a hole.
Yeah, and they did just as much damage.
Absolutely. I mean, I think they're the cleanest things we got today.
I'd go with the air gun.
I'd go with the air gun myself.
And the magic bullet? It seems any substance that would melt inside a human body is too fragile to be successfully fired from a high-powered weapon.
So, myth busted?
Absolutely.
Does Roger McCarthy believe JFK was killed by a liquid bullet fired by a second sniper on the grassy knoll?
And the answer is, we'll never know until the National Archives finds President Kennedy's brain. Because President Kennedy's brain was not buried with his body. It was put in a specially sealed container and given to the National Archives for safekeeping. They have subsequently lost the president's brain.